Welcome back, my friends, to the D-Rate the Hate podcast. I am your host, Wilk of WilksWorld.com, and I am so incredibly grateful that you are taking the time to join me for another powerful DTH episode. Friends, at the D-Rate the Hate podcast, it's all about bettering the world one attitude at a time. See, we did not create the hate, but with your help, we can derate the hate. That all starts with gratitude and personal accountability. We cannot control everything that happens to us in life, but we can control how we react to it. How we act, how we react, no matter what happens to us, how we react to it makes the difference. Friends, there is only one good thing about a bad attitude, and that is that we have the ability as individuals to change it. Here on the DTH podcast, we strive to bring you great guests and provide tools to do just that. Please be sure to share it with your friends. Subscribe if you haven't done so. Ratings and feedback are always greatly appreciated. And with that, let's get to this week's episode. Friends, it may sound simplistic to say it, but much of what we seek in life comes down to one ingredient, one key. And that key is personal accountability. Friends, I talk it, I believe it, I live it. Personal accountability is a huge factor in each of our roles in bettering the world in which we live. Now, my guest this week is Marnye Moore of Envision Results. She's here to talk about her journey to getting unstuck and how personal accountability played into that journey. Marnye, like so many people, was just your average ordinary person living a completely mediocre life. Having spent 25 years doing administrative and executive work with nowhere to go, she stood by and looked at life and felt stuck. Others around her seemed to be accomplishing so much, but yet she didn't even know where to start. After spending some time sobbing at her desk and being told that she should just be grateful for the life that was good enough, she decided one day to make an investment in her own personal coach and to find a mentor that made an incredible difference in her life. Now she's turned her life around and she wants to do the same for other people. She wants to show people how to get unstuck and how getting unstuck starts in so many ways with accountability. Friends, please join me for another great DTH conversation with my new friend, Marnye Moore, whose high energy, pulls no punches, in your face kind of coaching may just be what it needs to get you unstuck. Here we go. Marnye Moore, thank you for joining me on the D-Rate the Hate podcast. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to this all week.
Yes, me too. You know, we met through another podcasting platform. We started having this chat about personal accountability. Personal accountability is something that I talk about on the D-Rate the Hate podcast quite often. I think it is so important in our personal life journey to understand the importance of personal accountability. So that's why you and I are talking today. I know you've got a great story about personal accountability and how important that is. You know, I know you got your Envision Results
right
platform, and I do want to talk a little bit about that, but I want to start the conversation with personal accountability. So let's start there. Marnye, what does personal accountability mean to you, and how does that play into your vision of life and your vision of success?
I've been working on this just to make sure that all of this comes right together. So I'm going to just take like one little second here and say that I teach self-development. I'm a personal coach, and I teach people to take accountability and responsibility for themselves. So with that, it kind of all comes together. Once upon a time ago in a land far, far away, I was sitting in my Sunday school class, and we had a substitute teacher that day. Very nice man. I can see him just as clear as day. I couldn't tell you his name, but I can see his face. Anyway, Bobby raised his hand and said, well, how do we save the world? Everybody's going to hell except us. How do we save the world? And the substitute teacher said, slow down. You just take care of you, and that will take care of everything else. That's all you need to focus on, is you take care of you, because that will lead by example. That will affect your friends and family. That will be the way people treat you. That will be the way you treat yourself. And that's my initial learn self accountability. You just take care of you, and everything else will take care of itself.
Isn't that amazing how that works? I mean, quite honestly, it is absolutely awesome advice, because that's one of the things that I talk about so much. And a lot of people, I don't know if they just don't grasp it, or if it just seems so simplistic, or what the deal is.
Mm-hmm.
But they get so wrapped up in, I think we just went over 8 billion people on the planet this past week, and they get so wrapped up in the fact that there's so many people out there, there's so much going on, there's so much that we can't control. How could we even possibly make a difference? I'm just one little speck in this big picture.
Right.
And the reality is if we start with us, if we start with
right.
us,
you just start with you and change your perspective on the world. So I don't care if you're black, white, yellow, or brown. I just don't care. Your business is your business, and my business is my business, and I am responsible for me. Now, have I had days where that wasn't the case and I needed to stick my nose into somebody else's business and tell them what I thought? For sure. But as I go through life.
How's that possible? You don't strike me as that type.
Oh, well, let me tell you. Anyway, we'll save those stories for another day.
Right.
Anyway, but as I go through life and as I study personal development more and more and more and more, it becomes more and more clear that I have enough work to do right here that all this other stuff just doesn't even come to play. It's just not even there. So as long as I'm putting my best foot forward, I'm learning to do the best that I can for me, then that changes how other people treat me. And that changes how I work with my students. And that changes how they work with me. And that changes who I work with. And that changes who's willing to work with me. It has a cascade effect. So when you stop and you just take a hard look, and I tell everybody to go into the bathroom, close the door, and have a heart to heart with yourself in the bathroom mirror. Because if you're going to lie to the person in the bathroom mirror, you got bigger issues.
That's
if
a fact.
You can have that heart to heart with yourself in the bathroom mirror and say, look, that is none of your business. Your job is just to figure out how to get your butt out of bed and to the office every day and do the best that you can. And when you get to that point where you're willing to accept responsibility for all of your actions to date, no matter what your friends guilted you into or you thought you were going to do to impress the girl, impress the guy, do this because it was going to be funny. And you knew it was wrong at the time. As soon as you accept responsibility for that, then you have power and you have control. And then you can make a decision to go forward. And it takes practice, folks. It takes practice, but it's doable. And that's that accountability. That's being responsible. You do you. The rest of it will take care of itself.
Yeah, so important. So important. The accountability factor has to start with honesty and being honest with ourselves as individuals. So you're right. If you cannot be honest with that person in the mirror, you have much bigger problems and you need to seek some other kind of help. Mm-hmm. But the reality is most people, if they actually truly honestly look at themselves in the eye, in the mirror, and that can be hypothetical or it can be actual, real and literal. Mm-hmm. But if you can't look at yourself in the mirror and be honest and take account for all the things that you're doing, trying to impress people that probably don't, may or may not like you in the first place, that does no good. It's really about impressing yourself, impressing upon yourself, having that moral standard, having those values and sticking to those values, doing what's right no matter what everybody else is doing, knowing what's wrong no matter what everybody else says, taking that personal accountability, just embodying that as your core values and being the right person you need to be for you to sleep better at night and be the person that you absolutely need to be. Perfect, Marnye. That is a great place to start. It's one of the things that I think so many people in our society today are lacking, because you're right. They are trying to impress other people, or they're trying to make some kind of a statement, or they're trying to be something that they're not. And they really just have to start with being true to themselves, and accountable for their action, for their mindset, for their thoughts, being true to being a true and genuine person, but starting within ourselves, holding ourselves to account.
It's not always easy, and looking in the mirror can be hard. You see all the flaws, you see all the blemishes, and we're our own worst critic. But if you are willing to grant yourself forgiveness, start there and say, you know what, I forgive me for doing that, and that. And, I was a teenager, and then I went to college, and I did all of those things when people are supposed to be stupid and dumb. And then even beyond that, there's things that I probably shouldn't have done, but I did anyway. But when you stop and you just take account of those and you say, okay, let's just put everything on pause here and have a heart to heart that was not my best effort. That was not my best work. Now I need to start making some decisions. And so that's really hard to do. Admitting to yourself that you're not perfect, and admitting to yourself that everybody else's business is not your business. It's not for you to tell anybody else how to live, unless it's your kid. When you start doing that, you can start moving yourself forward. And it takes work. It takes practice. And you talked about maybe getting some other help. I'll have to say, I want everybody to know it's okay to seek out mental flossing on occasion. Go get somebody who doesn't know you and talk to them in an honest and open fashion.
Right.
And just let that go. And when that comes out of your mouth. So in personal coaching, we talk about, you have to understand who it is you're being today and who you want to be tomorrow. Okay. So I'm Marnye today, but the Marnye of tomorrow is an entrepreneur. I have 2 or 3 businesses. I've written a book. I'm on a speaking tour. That's the Marnye of tomorrow. Now, what's that gap in between? And how do I let go the past so that I can actually move forward? Because what you've done in the past that's done. That's a closed book, folks.
Right. You can't spend your life looking in the rearview mirror.
No, you
and
can't.
Expecting to get further than you are today.
Yeah, you have got to allow yourself to be somebody new, and you've got to forgive yourself. Let that go. That's part of that accountability. If you're having a hard time being honest with yourself, find some help. Find somebody who does not know you and go forward, and let everyone else be. Just focus on you. Back to that little Sunday school story. You just take care of you. Everything else will take care of itself. And when you start doing this and you start being accountable, you draw a line in the sand. And the line you're drawing is for yourself, that you're no longer going to do these things, and that you're going to take ownership. And there's going to be some apologies. There's going to be some tough conversations. And a lot of those tough conversations are with yourself. You're just going to have to learn to forgive yourself and move forward. And when you start doing that, when you do it for yourself, it's easier to do it for other people as well. It's just one thing after another. It happens. It just takes work.
It's not an overnight process. And I think one of the most important things that you said there, Marnye, was find somebody that does not know you. Because, when I think about this, and everybody, this is one of those things that you really have to take a true account of your life, your surroundings, the people that you deal with. A lot of times we seek out advice from maybe somebody who's been a mentor, maybe a family member, maybe a family friend, somebody that's been there for so long. But those times, or those people rather, are often the same people who are your cheerleader when you were making mistakes. They were the people that continued to try and prop you up, even though you were doing the wrong things, and it may have been all the wrong things for you, but they just wanted to be nice because they cared for you.
Right.
And they were your cheerleader, even though you were on a path that didn't deserve a cheerleader. And they're going to continue to do that same thing. So you're not going to have that person who's going to be true and honest with you And especially if you're not being honest with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
having that cheerleader that's going to continue to cheer for you when you're doing the wrong things is not going to be the helpful person. So it's very important, Marnie, and I'm glad you brought it up.
Mm-hmm.
Find a person of outside influence. Find a person that doesn't know you, that's not going to be your cheerleader, that's going to be honest with you about your past misgivings, the things that you've done wrong, to try and guide you in that different direction.
Mm-hmm. Our parents gave us our foundation. They did the best that they could with what they had. Good, bad, or otherwise, there's no judgment. Good, bad, or otherwise, they did the best they could. And I want to say statistically, by the time you're 7.5, your brain is fully formed as to being your personality and who you're going to be. There's a lot of learning. There's a lot of development left. Yes, the human brain continues to grow and develop until the age of 25, but the core personality, the core ethics, those things are set by 7.5. Okay. So your parents did the best they could. Then your teachers took over and they did what they were told to do. And so then you've got to deal with that. And then you go on and you start living a life that you were told that you were going to live because your parents did the best that they could. And then your teachers took over. And then you decided you were going to, be an astronaut or fly to the moon. And so you started on this path. And then life has a habit of getting in the way. And it starts channeling you one direction. And you forget to stop and take account. This is your permission to stop and take account and decide if all of those beliefs that your parents gave you and that your teachers gave you and that life has taught you, do they still hold true? Are they still the thing that serves you? Touching a hot stove is still hot. Okay, that one still serves. But, and ignoring the neighbors because, they drive the wrong car, let's review. Perhaps that one doesn't serve you anymore. Let's find a better way to express that or challenge that or pursue new opportunities. The world is getting so small and we're all in it together. There's no reason that we shouldn't be getting along if we would just mind our own damn business.
Right? No, that's right. Focus on you. You're the person that you've got the most control over. And as long as you're focusing on you and making your life better, you're going to make the world around you better.
Totally.
So many people don't understand that. I sometimes to me, it seems so simple, but for some, it just seems like this overwhelming or this daunting task. I can't just focus on me. There's so much more going on. Mm-hmm. So I wish more people understood that, Marnie. It's a great lesson. So let's kind of transition then into how your journey into this personal coaching thing started. I know you've got a great story. You were, I've
got a story.
Well, you got a story, right? We've all got a story, but but those who came from struggle, who came from, this life of, frustration and feeling like they weren't enough and just good enough is good enough kind of thing. And then turned it around and made something different because you came to this realization. Let's talk about that and then talk about your Envision Results coaching program that you work with.
So I have been an executive assistant for years and years and years. And I grew up knowing that I was going to work in a corporate office because I would have weekends and holidays off. I would have paid vacations, medical, and everything would be just grand and glorious. Fast forward 30 years, there I was sitting in this exactly where I thought I was supposed to be, sobbing at my desk because I was so bored. There were so many other things that I could be doing and should be doing. And I was being passed over for promotions. And I had made a life that was wrapped up in this paycheck. And I didn't know how to give up the paycheck to go do something else. And what if I couldn't find something else? And oh my gosh, everything was just crashing around and I just couldn't even figure it out. So I hired my own coach one day on a whim. Actually, what I did is I went, I need help. And that's a biggie. A lot of people don't have the confidence to say, I need help, or to look at that as being a strength and saying, I need some help here. I don't know everything. Somebody else has got to know how to do this. Bring it to me. Okay. So let's pick on Henry Ford. Henry Ford has been building cars for a very long time with a sixth grade education, folks. He hired people that knew what they were doing. That's all he had to do. He asked for help. He didn't have to know. He just had to have the dream and the vision. And so it's when I finally got that dream and vision that there had to be something more. And I asked somebody to step in and show me how to get out of the rut that I was in. Then it was kind of like, oh. And then you have to go through that time where it's like, well, I should have known that, but I didn't. And that's okay. I still kept moving forward. And as I started moving forward and talking to other people, I was really quite surprised as to how many other people felt the same. They didn't, I mean, like I had a mortgage, I had a car, I had a 401k, I had, medical benefits. I had a vacation plan. And what was I going to do? Give up this job because I had a whim that I wanted to open a flower shop or something? You've got to be kidding. So I had to learn to look inward and figure out what was holding me back. And at the end of the day, the same answer holds true for every single person in the whole wide world. Here it is. Unless you're under the age of 18, here it is. You are your problem. Your mindset, what you're thinking about, what you're not thinking about, what you're doing, what you're not doing. Those are the things that are the problem. And notice it's all about you. And so that's where self-development comes in. That's where Envision Results comes in, because when I started envisioning a better result or a new plan, well, then it was like, well, that could work. And you start getting inspired and you actually start becoming attached to that new plan. When you were planning this podcast, it wasn't like, you know what, I'm going to start a podcast. Gosh darn it. No, it was kind of like, I wonder if I could do that. You know what? I could do that. You know what? I bet we could do that. I got an idea. We're going to figure out how to do that. And it just takes its natural progression until it becomes a reality. And then when you stop and you look back, you think, oh my gosh, I never knew that was going to happen. And now I can do something more, because when you hit that precipice, the next leap is nothing, because you've done it. Your self-esteem, your confidence starts to grow and change. And in doing that, that accountability thing becomes so much easier, because now you're doing things that you're really inspired by and you're making decisions toward that inspiration. That's accountable. That's growth. And that's where you really start changing the world, by leading by example.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, once you start that ball in motion, and you start with, so many of my guests have talked about starting small. It's not an overnight process. Nobody can believe it's an overnight process. There are a few exceptions, but they are not the rule. When you start something, when you start that journey to bettering your life, and again, like I say all the time, bettering your life will better the world. When you start with you and start to better your life, you start with those small wins. You start with this little, you may have big dreams, but big dreams don't start with big wins. Most big dreams start with small wins. And then it starts with those baby steps. And you start to gradually gain that momentum until those dreams come to fruition. But really it starts with the vision. It starts with the vision, then it starts with the small wins, then it starts to progress, and then all of a sudden now you're someplace where you only dreamed you could be, but there you are.
Yeah, it's those little wins, and the confidence starts to grow, and your self-image begins to change, and everything starts to change. When you start seeing yourself as a different person and you start behaving as a different person, everything becomes different. My first mentor was Bob Proctor, and he would say, when you change your perspective on something, the perspective of everything will start to change. So if you can move yourself out of your current pair of shoes and into a different pair of shoes, everything will look different. Any athlete has a coach or six, right? They see in you what you cannot see for yourselves. And that's what a coach is supposed to do. They're not your friend. Oh, by the way, I will be friendly, but I am not your friend. My job is to call out your crap and to get you to take that next step forward, to hold you accountable, to give you that push. A mentor is somebody that will, that is going to tell you how to think, not what to think, how to think. I need you to think bigger. I need you to think long term. I need you to think with an open mind and allow new opportunities. And all of it is practice. It just takes practice. Just begin and start taking those little steps down the road. And you will be surprised as to where you can get.
Yeah.
It'll be amazing.
No, absolutely. Yeah. It takes vision. It takes honesty. It takes those small wins, and it all starts to add up. And you're absolutely right. Once your perspective of yourself starts to change, the way that you think, once you learn how to think, the way that you think will start to change. The things that you think about will start to change. The power in your belief system will grow, because that practice, doing that day in, day out, working on it, makes things happen. It helps you to become a better person. It helps your mind to work in a better way. And in doing so, makes your life better. And in doing so, again, full circle, makes the world a better place. We don't have to change the world to change the world. We change ourselves, and in turn, we will change the world for sure. It's just it starts with that accountability, Marnye.
Yeah. I was listening to a mentor, another coach today, and she was talking about we could probably change the world if we would just change our perspective on the world, because then we could just start seeing it with fresh eyes or a different set of eyes and start making it better. And it comes right back to you. What's the legacy that you want to leave behind? What do you have for yourself? How do you want to look in the mirror? What is that person? Are you happy with who you see? Is there room for improvement? There's always room for improvement. Where do you want to begin? How do you want to make this be? Forgive the past and let that be. That dog is done, and move forward. You cannot let what has happened in the past cloud your judgment toward the future. You just have to recognize that has happened. That way didn't work. So now we're going to be open to new ways and new possibilities. And when you start changing your mindset and you start changing what you're thinking about and what you're willing to think about, everything, the world is your oyster. Go, baby, go. Get it. You got it.
It just opens the landscape for a whole lot more progress.
It does.
It does. So, well, very good, Marnye. So tell me real quick, what can people find on your Envision Results website? How do people get a hold of you? And what kind of things do you have coming up here as we round out the year?
Sure. So I just barely have a website. It's just there. It's just enough to say, hi, my name is Marnye, and leave your contact details here. Find me on Facebook and find me on Instagram at Envision Results. Very easy, because you're already there. There's no sense going anyplace else. And what I do is I help people get unstuck. I offer the support, the accountability, and that final push to move forward. And my next, I try to hold a free class every month. And again, you can find that information on Instagram and on Facebook. It's free. And I talk about setting goals and why you need to do that. I talk about how to see yourself differently. I talk about setting up a new self-image. And I talk about how to move forward, how to start changing those habits.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's fun. I mean, it's very fun. The people that I meet are really, they're motivated. And most of the people, I'll say this because a lot of people need to hear it. Most of the people I work with want to work one-on-one because they're just trying to figure out if they should be working with a coach. And perhaps they're a bit shy or reticent about asking questions and asking for that help. And so that's my little forte. That's my little gap there. My little niche is working one-on-one with people to say, okay, it's okay. And then if we can move them into a group, then great, because then you have all kinds of support and like-minded people and new people to help you move forward.
Yeah, often getting unstuck, as you say, Marnye, is if you're feeling stuck, the last place you want to be is in a room with a whole bunch of other people that are stuck. So it takes that one-on-one. I get it. It makes a lot of sense. And And yeah, I think the high energy bluntness of your approach is probably a great way.
I have heard that. I've heard that so many times this last week. It's like, okay, I think I can work with that.
Yeah, no, it's a great way. Sometimes you just need that kick in the pants to get unstuck. So I like it. Marnye Moore, it's been an incredible conversation. I look forward to interacting with you some more. Thank you for joining me on the D-Rate the Hate podcast. I will definitely direct people to Envision Results, the Facebook page, as you said, the Facebook page, the Instagram page. You can obviously find you at your Envision Results website as well. And the listeners can find all that information in the show notes.
And I'm envisionresults.net. I have to say that .net.
Envisionresults.net.
.net. Yeah. Okay. .net.
We will definitely link to that in the show notes, and I look forward to having a conversation again.
Absolutely, I'd be happy to. Thank you.
Friends, if there's anything in this episode that provided exceptional value to you, please make sure to hit that share button. Share it with your friends, share it far and wide, and of course, if you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe right from our website so you can get the D-Rate the Hate podcast sent to your email inbox every week. So this is Wilk wrapping up for the week saying get out there, be kind to one another, be grateful for everything that you've got, and remember it's up to you to make each and every day the day that you want it to be. If there is something that you would like to share with me, you can catch me on most social media platforms, or you can email me directly, wilk@wilksworld.com. With that, my friends, I am going to back on out of here, and we will catch you next week. Take care.